cages, not for animals, but for people. This is the plight of several thousand people living in Hong Kong today, one of whom is 79-year-old Dai Yu Pun, who lives in a metal coffin no wider than this and no taller than this. Every day for the past 30 years, he has been waiting for the day he can finally move from his cage home and into public housing. Contrast this with the new generation of young adults who are applying for public housing as soon as they turn 18, even though 84% of them already occupy a flat, either with their parents or with other friends and family, meaning that they do not actually lack housing, but rather are applying simply because they can't bear living with other people. But more fundamentally, I believe there are three key reasons why young adults should not apply for public housing as soon as they turn 18. Firstly, it reduces the work ethic and ambition of young people. An individual who wishes to apply for public housing must remain under the income bracket of 9,700 Hong Kong dollars. As Milton Friedman, a Nobel Prize laureate, puts it, this only incentivizes the young poor people to remain in poverty, something that is not only detrimental for the young people themselves, but for Hong Kong's workforce, innovation, and growth as a society as a whole. Secondly, it reduces the supply of housing for the truly needy. The current waiting list for public housing stands at already 130,000 people, and young adults who needlessly apply for public housing only reduce the supply of housing for the truly needy, for those who are truly in the plight of homelessness. Thirdly, it sends the wrong signal to Hong Kong residents. The overloading of the waiting list by young adults only increases fear and panic among Hong Kong residents, making the housing problem seem more acute than it actually is. Therefore, this only incentivizes more and more people to apply for public housing, increasing the severity of the problem. Ladies and gentlemen, by applying for public housing, these young adults are placing themselves in cages. Not the physical cages that Dai Yun Man lives in, but cages that restrict their work ethic and ambition, cages that reduce the supply of housing for the needy, and ultimately, cages that are detrimental to Hong Kong as a society. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech. Mr. Hodgman will now ask you a question relating to your speech. The bell will ring right after the question has been asked, and you will have 1 minute to respond to the question. Mr. Hodgman, please.
Do you think there should be a quota on non-local buyers of property in Hong Kong, especially residential properties? Why or why not?
I believe that there should not be a quota on those foreign investors who wish to buy residential homes in Hong Kong, simply because there have already been measures to tackle the influx of demand from other countries. For example, the Hong Kong government has already imposed a stamp duty and a double stamp duty for those who wish to purchase homes in Hong Kong from other countries. And I believe that these demand controls measures have been sufficient to tackle these issues of excess demand from other countries. Secondly, I believe that imposing a quota restricts the freedom of purchase of other investors from other countries. And this will worsen Hong Kong's economy in terms of reducing demand for other products in Hong Kong. Thank you.
Thank you. A second question will now be asked by Mrs. Snow. Again, the bell will ring right after the question has been asked, and you may then respond. Mrs. Snow, please.
Balance is very important in life. Do you believe that young people in Hong Kong have too many extracurricular activities placed upon them by their parents and their schools? And why do you believe that?
I believe that there are extracurricular programs in school designed to aid people to become more balanced. For example, in my school, there's a program called the CAS program, which ensures that students fulfill at least 50 hours of creativity, action, and service. However, these extracurricular programs often although provide balance for these young people in terms of ensuring that they are balanced in terms of their creativity, action, as well as service, this often overloads kind of the workload of young adults, especially when they face rigorous academic programs, such as the International Baccalaureate or the Hong Kong Diploma of Secondary Education, which are already stressful enough. And I believe that these extracurricular programs should not be enforced and imposed, because that is not the spirit of expanding yourself and becoming more balanced. True expansion and true equilibrium must be achieved from the heart and the willingness to do these things yourself. Thank you.